Welcome to the Armored Combat Escalation Service Podcast, Episode 6. Today is Monday, December... Oh my god, this is terrible. Today is Monday, December 8th, 2014. I forgot to take November out of the document. I'm an idiot. I am your host, Idiot, also known as Cattra, Kell, and with me today are Tirkron, Iron
Howdy.
Warsmith, Kegel Doom, and Adam. How's it going, guys?
Good.
Good.
I actually am home on a Monday night.
Great.
It's a miracle. So, news in the unit. Of course, if you don't have an invite and you are a part of ACES, let anyone know. They'll be able to invite you into the ACES unit in MWO. Other than that, there's a few things as far as awards go. So, Evil Spock gets, you guys take that half, I'll take this half. Kego Doom and Evil Spock both get, you guys kick back, we got the silver. Evil Spock got heavy gold. Short Bus and Rush 2112 got 228th Hunters. Man of Athens got medium unobtainium. Man of Athens, Fight Gar, and Mecha got Lightning Strike Lance. Rush 2112 got the Beast 666. And Rush 2112 also got Trashborn. That's it for awards up to now. We had some member promotions. Sinister Stocks is now the rank of King. Thanks for his help running Run Hot or Die and everything like that. He'll be continuing to help improve our comp team and get us ready for community warfare. The same with Tirkron. Hey, Tirkron. Welcome to being a King.
Yay!
Your promotion is based off of almost the same thing. Helping run the competitive scene of ACES for Merrick, Run Hot or Die, everything like that. Your help with the ACES tournament doc, everything like that. We're going to need you to really step up and help form our competitive team and get us ready for community warfare, including helping players run metamex, running practices, just doing calls, doing the best you can. And of course, we've also had Iron Warsmith, longtime member of ACES, really good guy. We brought him up to the rank of Ace. He is now one of your new leaders for his running of practices, everything like that in the background. So, congratulations, guys.
Thank you, Cattra.
Upcoming events. Monday practice is an hour from now, and that is 8 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you show up. Make sure you drop proper. Make sure you listen to the people you need to listen to. Practices are practices for a reason. We need to get on that. For everyone else, or people who are not able to make that practice, we have the Thursday Pacific practice, which is 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Same deal. If you're going to be dropping at that time, practice is practice. Make sure you listen to people you need to listen to. The Run Hot or Die 4v4 tourney is done. We're waiting to hear back if there is going to be a Season 2. If we are, we will hopefully get maybe 2 teams in there this year. I would like to see that, but if not, 1 team again. The ACES tournament. I'm going to be making a post about this. I would like, over the holidays, since people might and hopefully have some free time. I know it's also a time that people do a lot of traveling. But I would like to get a small test run of the ACES tournament rules sometime during this holiday break. So if we're able to do that, it would be great if we can. And I think that brings us to our general talk. Now, it's time for all mics open. Make sure you X up in chat if you have something to say or anything like that. So let's talk first things first. What is the goddamn TAC chat? Go ahead, Turkron.
All right, so basic rundown. TAC Chat is a channel specific for winning. That's the long and the short of it. It is a channel where the object is not just to have fun, but to overall win matches regardless of any other considerations. It is not a meta-only channel. You can bring other mechs. The requirement on bringing builds, though, is that you bring serious builds. We don't want to see, the 6 machine gun locusts running around. We don't want to see mist links running around. If you need to level that up, you should probably be in a different channel. The other thing that the TAC channel is for is it is a primarily closed comms channel. While we are readying up, you can ask questions and get feedback on builds and how, what mechs to be using. But during the actual drop, the only people that are going to be talking are the drop commanders and the people that are giving them recon data and such. So we do not want to be hearing what chicken wings you are eating, how great they are, what beer you are drinking, how drunk you are. Things like that are no-nos for the channel. It is primarily for drop calls and for targeting information. That being said, again, I want to reiterate that it is not a meta-only channel. And meta, there has been a lot of disagreement on what meta means. Ultimatum put up a very good post recently in the forum about what meta actually is. I would suggest that all members of ACES take a look at it so that the confusion can be cleared up. But there are various levels of meta. Basically, for the layman's version, it is the best possible build that maximizes damage output and kill time while also maximizing survivability. So if you have a mech that is not listed on, say, Mercstar or on G-Man's meta list, it is not necessarily not meta at that time. It could be a variant. Post it up in the mech builds, ask for feedback. People will let you know.
Not only that, if you didn't know, there is a website dedicated to MetaMechs, ironically also called MetaMechs. I would highly recommend using this tool. I'll link it here in the chat. And it is being run by the SJR guys. So the mechs on it are actually what they run in meta. And so make sure you take a look at that, get familiar with it, because we're going to be utilizing it, hopefully.
I mean, there's been some confusion on meta for the Direwolf. There's the asymmetrical build that G-Man and a lot of the SJR and Lords guys are running. That's Gauss Rifle and Laser Vomit. But there are variations also where that are, the Ultra Autocannon 5 meta, and there's a couple different variations of that from the 6.5s to 5.5s with medium lasers as backup to 4.5s with more lasers as backup. There's varying levels, guys. We are in the TAC channel. We are not going to require you to run one over the other, but we do request that you bring serious builds. I don't want to hear really of, as we said, the 6 machine gun Locust being brought, or the 2 medium pulse laser Mistlinks being brought. That's not what that channel's for. If you want to just drop willy-nilly and have fun with your 12 Flamer Nova, there are plenty of other channels here on ACES that will glad to cater to you there. But TAC channel, it's for serious drops that are aimed at winning matches and basically ironing out what any and all kinks that might be in the process of those drops.
And this is something we probably should have implemented a little bit ago, and we never really got around to it. So it's good that it's there now. It's going to be a permanent fixture for ACES. So utilize it when you can. All right, so not this weekend. This weekend we actually had, or last weekend we didn't have any events, but the weekend before that, we had the 2.5 experience event. Really good time to master out mechs and stuff like that. What did you guys think? Did you guys get anything mastered? Go ahead, Dirk. Oh, go ahead, Thunder.
My that's how much I run it. Clan mech, medium, very fast.
Stormcrow.
Ice
Ferret.
Ice Ferret. Ice Ferret. It's a situational mech. It's much like a hit and run. I thought I wasn't gonna like it, but actually, I have not been disappointed with any of the clan mechs, even the lights. And you guys know how much I don't like lights. So, but that one and the Vindicator, which boats a lot of weapons. It doesn't have any speed to be 45 tons, but it has a lot of weapons. It got a lot of punch for its size.
Yeah, I mainly concentrated on my inner sphere mechs, making sure that all the ones that were just below being eleted got, eleted, and then taking all the ones that were eleted and making sure they were mastered. So I think I only have now maybe 3 or 4 inner sphere mechs that are not mastered. Uh, I know one category of that is actually the Locust because I haven't bothered taking it beyond basics yet. But I really didn't touch my clan mechs at all, which was a challenge because Hellbringers had dropped that Friday, and I was really itching to get into them. But I wanted to make sure I was ready for community warfare, and that my mechs were at the top levels that they could be at. And that and clan mechs seem to be a little bit easier to level up now than inner sphere mechs are.
Yeah, definitely. And I know there's been mention that they want to run events like this again. Probably not 2.5 because the 2.5 was because they messed up putting the original 2 times multiplier out on time. But any time that there is an XP multiplier for a mech, I would highly recommend those of you that don't have the meta mechs or fully maxed out, run those, get those maxed out first. Those are probably the highest priority. But yeah, definitely I think they said they're hopefully going to try to do this again sometime soon. So hopefully from there, we'll see that again. Let's move on to our next topic, which is the Hellbringer. Of course, that came out same time. It is the only ECM heavy. Had a lot of CT problems, but those hopefully got fixed up. Haven't really run it a whole lot. I've been too busy with some other mechs. What are your thoughts on the Hellbringer? Go ahead, Tierkron.
It is a wonderful mech. Honestly, I don't know which is better to run, the Hellbringer or the Timberwolf. They are really close to one another on being the top tier heavy mech and probably the top mech in the game. That ECM on the Hellbringer is really, really nice to have, especially considering even with speed tweak, it's only running 89, so you can easily stay with your heavier mechs and keep them covered while your lighter mechs that normally would have ECM like the Cicada and the Raven and the Spider can actually go off and do what they're meant to do instead of just sitting back and covering. The the CT, yeah, had a few issues. It's still, I don't think, fully fixed. There are a few times I've seen it get damaged where it looked like it shouldn't have gotten damaged, where one of the side torsos should have gotten damaged first. But it's not as bad as it was initially, so I think I can let that go a little bit. But definitely every variant should have that left torso switched out to the prime to have that ECM on it. Even if you're not going to use the 3 energy points that are there with the ECM, you should still be using that ECM slot and getting it, and getting them ready. Uh, it's it's absolutely wonderful. I can't wait to see an inner sphere heavy suddenly get it because I think that's going to be the inner sphere heavy to take after that.
Go ahead there, Thunder.
I look at it like the summoner. The Timberwolf is still the king of the heavies because it could take a lot more damage. The Hellbringer is, I would say, like the summoner, a second line mech along with the heavy. I would have one with a group of heavies just for the ECM coverage and give fire support to the 2 brawlers up front that you would have. That situation being said, I would let the heavies go off and do their counter or flanking maneuvers on their own because they have cover, they have stability, and with them and another group, um, that should work out fine. But I don't think it's a brawler. This is my opinion. It's not a brawler. It can't take as much as the Timberwolf or the Thunderbolt because they can take a lot of pounding. Where that I felt that I do have one mastered. It didn't take a whole lot to bring it down. So it did take some damage, but not as much as a Timberwolf. So, but that's my opinion on it.
Yeah, I'll definitely agree. It's definitely more of a long to medium range mech. It's definitely nowhere near like the Thunderbolt 5SS as far as being able to brawl in that short range. I think the meta. I know in both the long range and medium range, a lot of the comp teams are now taking Hellbringers when they can, depending on the rule and the playset and stuff like that. Mainly because it does have that ECM, making it very powerful to begin with, but also it has a lot of high mounted energy slots. So especially for the long range, like I know they got it slotted as a tier 1, like a must have along with the Timberwolf. As far as long range goes, because they just put those ER large lasers right in that very high mounted torso and in the head, and they're able to just peek, hit, and go down behind cover because of the ECM, and you'll never know what hit you. Go ahead, Thunder.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not a beam weapons pro. I'm more ballistics. So I in that high position I did, and I found it. Yeah. It's a little bit offsetting the way the arms are slung, but when I put my AC, I put an AC-20 in one of the chests and had the lasers swung low, and I was able to peek over and fire that thing, and it was great. So the mech, I think Tycon said it earlier, it's very, very versatile, though, so far as where your weapons placements are. And that can get somewhat disconcerting at sometimes because you have so many options. It's just what you want to do with it, you know.
Yeah, I've definitely seen some really different builds on the Hellbringer. I think it's something to definitely consider if we ever take a clan contract. Something to bring. Definitely for people playing in third-party tournaments or even dropping in the pug queue. Definitely, or the group queue. Definitely bring Hellbringers if you can or if you want to. Definitely a really good mech. We've had some changes to the Bog map. What are your thoughts and opinions on that? And of course, those who don't know, it was lightened. The fog was taken out. It was brightened up a little bit. What are your thoughts now on Bog? Go ahead, Tyrkon.
I like the changes that were made. At first, I was a little hesitant. I liked that. I liked the fact that they had lessened the fog and made line of sight a little bit better. I didn't like at first that they had taken the lily pads out of the lower bog area. I'm glad to see that they put those back in. I think that really helps light mechs that drop down there and that use that lower area to skirt around and get behind either side. So I'm liking the changes now. I kind of wish that the two big plateaus that are in C4 D4 and C4 B4, I think it is, or it's B3. Uh, I wish they had steps on both sides because the side that drops that has access to those steps first seems to has a tendency to run the map. They get up there with a couple heavy sniper builds or heavy, you know, autocannon builds or heavy missile builds, and they basically can rain fire almost anywhere and on anything that they can see that their next on the ground level can target, and it's absolutely brutal. Uh, it's worse than almost facing a fire line of an entire lance because there's really not a good place to try to run and hide from those two main plateaus. There are some small caverns in the I guess the leftover skeletons of the giant, crabs or whatever they are, and you can hide behind some of the smaller plateaus. But trying to get those mechs off those main plateaus is rather difficult. You either have to try to jump up and get there, or you have to try to flank all the way around and force your way up. And usually, flanking and forcing your way up, you're having to fight through their guys on the ground that are backing them up. So it makes it a challenge, but it's different. I've seen a lot of people take different strategies of how to flank, how to move, how to hit hard or how to hold back on it. So I think it's going to be a very successful map. I'm interested to see how it turns out and works in comp play and see how comp teams tackle it.
I agree. I definitely think there is some balance issues to Bog. I think we've talked about this before. I think Bog still needs a few changes to make it a little bit more balanced. That staircase facing one side is definitely one major thing. I don't know how they could really change that other than adding a staircase for the other side, or maybe from the two pillars or something like that that the other side have access to really on, making an overhang that connects it to the bigger one in the middle. So you have to take like a bridge, almost like you see in Canyon. But other than that, yeah, the fog being removed is definitely one of my favorite things about the map. We actually have a nice bright map for once again. Reminds me back in the days of when we had Forest Colony nice and bright. So it makes me happy. You don't have to use the thermals anymore. I can actually play the map without being grayscaled, which is nice. But yeah, overall, good map. I like the changes to it. I think some more changes might be needed. That sort of thing. So let's talk about what everyone's talking about, and that is the king motherfucking crab. And we got a ton of information about it just the other day from the good folks at NGNG. I'll pat myself on the back for that one there. So first up, we know all three variants that are coming out. We know the hard points, we know the quirks, we know everything like that, so I'm going to go through them real quick, and then let's have a small discussion about the King Crab. Of course, the King Crab, for people that don't know, 100-ton inner sphere mech, the most badass motherfucker that ever walked the planet. Let's dig into it. So the King Crab, quad 0. The hard points we know are 2 ballistic, 4 energy, 4 missile, 1 AMS. The quirks are energy cooldown, laser duration, and missile cooldown, all at 10%. And of course, a torso turn rate of plus 25. We have the L variant, which is, I think, the one that a lot of people are going to take, mainly because it's got 6 ballistics in the arms, 2 energy, 2 missile, ballistic velocity, ballistic cooldown for plus 15%, laser duration, AC 20 velocity, AC 20 cooldown, and everything like that. And then, of course, we have the B variant, which is 4 ballistic, 3 energy, 3 missile, ballistic, energy, missile cooldown, 10%, almost like the quad 0 one. So those are the 3 variants we know. Those are the 3 everything else that type of thing. So let's dive in here. King Crab, first impressions. Who's up? Go ahead, Thunder.
The only thing I can say is I have to thank Piranha for introducing. A lot of us didn't think it was going to make it in, but they're putting it in. The artwork that they showed us earlier was a real good teaser because everybody's been talking about it. The game. This game compared to MechWarrior 4 Mercenaries is just phenomenal. I can't even say the word. It's outstanding. And to introduce the new mechs, the maps, the interest that they have, the interest that they've brung to the games by having some of the iconic mechs along with the newer mechs, and anyone who has read the books understand where they're going, kind of understand where they're coming from. It's very exciting time. We're going to have a good December, believe me. Great December. Thank you, Piranha.
Go ahead there, Tierkron.
It's first of all, I'd like to make a small correction. It's not the L variant. The L is in parentheses, so I'm assuming that's the limited designation for it. Same with how
Probably,
the
yes.
S and
Now
the
that I noticed
AH are.
that, yes.
So it's probably more fair to refer to it as the 000, the quad 0, and the 000B.
Or we'll just call the B1B.
Yeah, we'll call that one B. I'm a little surprised at some of how the quirks are being listed. The quad 0 doesn't have a ballistic quirk at all, but considering in the lore that's the version that gets put out during the Succession Wars, so it doesn't have the Star League tech that the the B and the 000 have. I guess that makes a little bit more sense. That said, I'm kind of disappointed that I don't see two other variants that I thought would be there for launch. I'm talking about the 001 and the 010. The 001 is a Comstar built variant. It is specifically one of their clan busters, and it's stocked with Gauss rifles. And the 010 was a special Star League Royals version that was built basically to be the command mech for Royal Brigades. And maybe we'll end up seeing them implemented. I really hope we do. I'd even settle for the 010 being the hero version of the King Crab, considering it is one of the rarer variants of it. But overall, I'm very happy to see it. As Thunder said, I have to applaud PGI that we're seeing a wide range of mechs being put into game. Not just the most popular ones that we saw previously in past MechWarrior titles, but we're seeing the Enforcer, which we have never seen the Enforcer. We're seeing the King Crab, which is phenomenal because we don't see the King Crab in the other games, and we're seeing so many great mechs. They're delving into the history of the BattleTech franchise, pulling out some of the greatest gems in there, and polishing them up and then giving them to us, and letting us play with it all. It's absolutely phenomenal. I know people like to give PGI a lot of headaches and guff about things, but I really have to applaud them. They're doing an outstanding job of keeping the game fresh, and making sure that there is content coming out at least every other month.
I agree. I am going to say one thing, though, about the King Crab. I don't understand giving it quirks. I'm just going to say that right now, and I'm going to be as blunt as possibly. They should release it without any quirks. If it needs fine-tuning, then add quirks to it. Don't give it quirks now. Just wait, release it blank, see how it fares against stuff, then quirk it from there. That's my 2 cents, everything like that. I love the King Crab. It's a mech I wanted from the very beginning of the game. But my one complaint is that I feel like when it comes out, it might be a little bit too OP.
Never.
But yeah, I'm probably going to be definitely running the 000. Those 6 ballistics are way too tempting to pass up. I'll probably be throwing... I want to see if I can fit some 5s in there. I'll see what I can do with it.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a couple really fun ballistic variants being used. I know we saw a couple in that video preview from NGNG. I expect people to do a couple even odder builds at times. It'll be good. It'll be a lot of fun seeing all the different ones. I know that the AC-21 is not going to go away. That's just having 100-ton mech that can bring 2 AC-20s to the fight and just fire them with like no one's business. That's just going to be too much fun. I mean, almost illegal, but I don't care. I'm gonna do it anyway.
Go ahead there, Thunder. or maybe not. But yeah, no, King Crab, definitely an exciting time, that sort of thing. Also, hopefully, because the Gargoyle is going to be dropping at the same time, for those of you who purchased it. Oh, go ahead, Adam. Never mind. Go ahead, Adam.
Sorry, I had my mic muted, but
Good job.
all I have to say, Brandon, you're probably more than right about the quirk thing, but I mean, hail to the king. That's all I gotta say, man. You are gonna have to pull me out of that thing with winches and a chain, because I'm not leaving it.
Adam, is it good to be the king?
It is very good to be the king.
So again, as I was saying, we have the Gargoyle coming out at the same time. We haven't had much information based on that. Of course, we know it's an assault mech for the clans. I don't know what to say about this. We don't really have that much info to go on. I've been looking at TRO stuff for it. It doesn't seem like, because I mean with the clans everything's going to be hard locked, so it doesn't seem like it's going to have a lot of space to actually do shit with. It feels like it's going to be very limited. If it goes, of course, by the TROs, it's going to be very limited by its crit space and also free pod tonnage. It's also a very fast assault, though, so that might be the trade-off. I don't know. That's something we'll have to wait and see when it comes out. Anyone got thoughts on the Gargoyle based on what you know or anything like that? Tychron, go ahead.
It's going to be interesting to see it. As you said, it doesn't have as much pod space as some of the other mechs that are near it in weight, specifically the Warhawk and the Timberwolf. It is faster than the Warhawk, but I can see a lot of people saying, if I have assault slots and I have heavy slots, I'm probably going to bring Timberwolves for that speed and firepower rather than the Gargoyle, and I'm probably going to bring Warhawks or Direwolves for the assault slots for the overwhelming firepower that they can bring, even though they don't have the same speed. It feels like it's one of those that it's going to fall in the cracks, kind of like how the Ice Ferret is. I mean, if you have to take a medium, you're probably taking taking the Stormcrow over the Nova and over the Ice Ferret. It's going to be very odd to see how it develops and what people run on it. The Omnipods that have been listed so far for it do allow for some variation. Not every Omnipod is in the arms. There are a couple torso, mounted Omnipods that will bring energy hard points to the torsos. But I don't know if that's going to be enough for it. I don't want to say it's going to be dead on arrival because I don't believe any mech is truly dead on arrival. I think people have to experiment with them first, but it's going to definitely be an upward slog for the Gargoyle. It's going to have to do a lot of work to establish itself on the battlefield. It's going to do better than the Mistlinks, I think, but I don't think it's going to, be on comp teams. I think they're going to take Timberwolves and, stick with the bigger assaults instead.
Go ahead there, Adam.
I just kind of mirror Tychron's response. I think in maybe a handful of cases, it might have a goofy shtick that it can pull off, like running a line and like where like the not so smart or talented groups like to play Chase the Shiny. It might be really good for that because it's got a lot of armor and it's decently fast. So it could be a decent like line runner or distraction. But in actual like competitive play, I don't know if it's going to be useful or not.
Go ahead there, Thunder.
I haven't been in a bad clan mech yet, so my thing is it's going to be, due to the fact we haven't seen it yet, it's going to be up to the people who will come up with the tactics on how to use it. At one point, you have to remember that when the dragon wasn't so easy, and when he was in closed beta, he was bowling everybody over. Everybody used that as a tactic until they stop knockdown and things of that sort. So we, depending on firepower isn't the only thing that you have to work with. being a fast mech and being that large, well, we'll see. We'll see how people come up and use it. It's very mobile, like the Lords like to do. They're when they play and competitive, they are very mobile, and they group together really well. So we'll see what how they use it, how the builds come out.
I was trying to find that calculator for calculating speed tweak stuff. Go ahead, Rush.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty useful. In fact, I think it's going to, I remember when the Victor came out, nobody really liked it because it was a lighter assault mech, and everybody thought they wouldn't handle up with the other assault mechs, but, I mean, we all seen what the Victor ended up doing, so I think it's actually going to be a pretty big change.
Because I'm trying to remember, and I agree. I think until we actually get our hands on it, it's hard to say it is actually dead on arrival. But just looking at the TROs and stuff like that, it's hard to say what you'll be able to slot into it. That being said, without speed tweak, it does go 86.4, which is really fast for an assault mech. When you add speed tweak, I'm expecting it to go 90 something, which is absolutely insane for an assault mech. That's a heavy mech speed usually. Even some mediums struggle to push up that fast. So it's going to be definitely a big armored fighter, but hopefully it can tank well. Hopefully the hitboxes are good. Again, we'll have to wait and see next week when it comes out for those of us that purchase the pack. Final big topic. Community Warfare update by Paul. There's a couple changes that came with that. Of course, the contract lengths are 7 days, 14 days, 28 days, and permanent. Let's take a moment and talk about that real quick, because that changed from, I think it was originally 2 weeks, a month, and 3 months or something like that. I just wanted to know what your guys' thoughts on the changes to the contract lengths are. Thunder?
We're gonna have to wait and see, because we don't know all the. I think everybody's gonna take a wait and see look, because we don't know the intricacies of what community warfare is gonna be about, and how the advantages of taking a short-term contract over a long-term contract, or splitting up your group and assigning them to do this contract, or how if it's assigned to your whole group, or you have to assign people to it and then they get locked into it. I know they explained all that, but I haven't kept up with it. I'm just waiting for it to come out. All that'll get looked at, because we don't know exactly how community warfare is going to be played, and how the quirks are going to work, and how you can seize an advantage, or you see an advantage, much less until you actually get into the game. So everybody's anticipating it, waiting for it, and we know we're going to see a part of it this month. We're going to have to take a wait and see look, or at least I'm going to take a wait and see look and see what kind of advantages we can get from short-term versus long-term contracts.
Go ahead there, Rush.
I think the contracts are pretty short, but I think they're like that because there was a big outcry for people not being able to use their clan mechs and their inner spheres. So I think the short contract is kind of a reflection of that. Gives you a little bit quicker chance to change between them.
Go ahead there, G0.
Pretty much what was already stated. It hasn't hit yet. It is sounding more solid as time goes on. We don't know the exact details between long-term, short-term, or versus, etc. I can see it being for people who definitely do have favorites or specific factions that they do like as part of the whole, I guess, roleplay thing, if people are into that kind of thing, which I think there are players who are into this kind of thing for the MechWar universe. So whether you have either you're a mercenary or just a player who likes a specific faction, then the permanent contract, hey, works well for them if that's what they want to do. It lets them know, hey, my loyalty's here. I see it as no more different than how if you have a clan mech in community warfare and you only are with the clans, then it works very similar with the contracts. However, that being said, long term or short term, hard to say. I can definitely see the short term being for people who may not have as much time on their hands or have real life stuff to do. Like, everyone's got real life stuff to do. But, like I said, we'll wait and see. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that as time goes on, we get more and more information that it will become solid on release day.
Go ahead there, Tierkron.
I've been thinking about the changes that have been outlined, and I kind of understand a bit where they're coming from with making shorter term contracts. Uh, just looking, from a comp perspective, people get burned out on very long comp events. Specifically, I'll cite Merrick and even Run Hot or Die, because those are comp events that they're not just one weekend or 2 weekends or 1 month. They're like 2 to 3 months long, and it's very easy for a team of guys, or even an entire unit just to get really fed up with it halfway through and be, tearing at their hair going, why are we still doing this? It's taking forever. Some comp teams obviously don't have that issue. Some are hardcore that it doesn't matter. They'll go till the very end till, someone pulls the mouse out of their cold dead hand. But others, it can be a real slog once you get to that halfway point. And so I think shorter term contracts are a way to try to combat the fatigue that a unit might have when they sign up with a faction. Uh, it also, I think, is going to help if you're a merc and you sign a 7-day contract with, say, with Steiner, and you are deploying on worlds to defend them, and you're being consistently, you're not bringing a full 12 man each time, you're bringing maybe 6 or 8, and you're being constantly paired up with other, units to fill in those missing slots, and you start, not seeing another unit carrying the weight that you think they should. It could be very easy for, people to get frustrated with other people in the community and other units in the community over that. So I think, a shorter term contract can help to alleviate that. You're only playing, you signed a 7 day contract, so you're only going to, really be worrying about playing with that other unit for 7 days at best. After those 7 days are up, you can, easily switch to a different, to take a contract with a different faction, and you might not have to worry about, that you're going to now be paired up with with different units, and at the same time, you're also going to see different enemies because of that. You're going to see, if you jump from Steiner to Karita, you're not going to be seeing the Clan Wolf guys anymore. Or the Clan J Falcon guys. You're now seeing Clan Ghost Bear, and you're seeing Smoke Jags. You'll definitely still see the Dagger Star guys, but you're going to have a whole new crop of opponents that you're going against. So I think that helps to keep people interested, helps to downplay, player fatigue, and will keep things fresh, which is something that, a game needs to have. As soon as it starts feeling stale and old, people lose interest.
I agree. Though I'll agree with that for sure. That to keep a game fresh, you got to keep it quick and that sort of thing, and ever changing. That being said, I liked the older contract lengths a little bit longer, personally, mainly because it made me feel like there would be some consequence for sticking to a faction and having not performing well. And you would have to, then again, that could also turn people away, so I can understand that as well. Personally, I just liked some sort of consequence for picking the durations and make them a little bit longer. But that might not be for everyone. But of course, there's also the second part of the community warfare update, which I think is the most important thing, is that we know that we'll be able to pick up to 4 mechs between 140 tons to 240 tons What are your thoughts? And drop decks and stuff like that. Like, the amount of speculation stuff is still very high for what's going to be happening, but at least we know the weight, tonnage, which we have to play with and around with. And it should be noted that those weights are for a personal player, so each person's able to bring up to 240 tons. Go ahead there, Tierkron.
I know a couple people have already started to dread what's going to be brought in that weight bracket, because some people have done the math, and from the Inner Sphere side, they're worried they're going to just see Firestarter A's or Embers paired up with Thunderbolt 5S's, because that you can take two of each and you're golden. You're in that, you're in a perfect weight bracket for your drop ship, and both of those builds bring so much firepower and ability to tank damage that why bring anything else? But I don't think everyone has two Firestarter A's and two Thunderbolts, and I don't think units are going to necessarily do that, because each unit has its own flavor, even now. So I'm not sure what we'll see. It could be a very eclectic mix at first. I do think that there will be some, meta build, meta drops, I guess, for lack of a better term, that we'll be seeing from teams after a while, but that might not stay that long, depending on how quickly PGI changes things around and how the maps end up being.
Go ahead there, Thunder.
I figure it to be basically you bring the mechs that you can help the team out in, and those mechs will be those you pick your four that you're considered, not you consider, but the team consider you good in, and it has to be hopefully it's going to be a collaborative thing where we're bringing mechs that support the group, because we have players that can play multiple positions. It's like any team, you got players that can play multiple positions and some that can't. So you bring what will complement the group that'll help the group achieve its objectives.
I completely agree. My biggest concern, though, or something I would like to see, is that I agree with Tierkron. I think you're going to see meta drop decks and that people are just going to run. And maybe a way to counter that sort of thing is that you add an incentive to run maybe lighter or something like that. So, for example, instead of using up all 240 tons, because I know especially for the clan side of things, it's going to be, I can guarantee now, you're just going to see the following. You're going to see Timberwolves, Stormcrows, and Direwolves. That's all you're going to see. Yeah, you're just going to run, they're probably going to run, they're probably going to run a Timberwolf, 3 Stormcrows. That's the drop deck. That's what it's going to be. The Inner Sphere might get divvied up a little bit different, but after a little bit, it's probably going to start running the same way again. What I would like to see, and this is my own personal opinion again as well, that is something to put an incentive to change it up. So if you drop lighter, so say you drop only 200 tons and not use the full 240, if you win, you get a bonus payout for dropping under. Something like that, I think, would really incentivize people to play around the maximum potential. So you could run the 240 and just get your standard payout. Or you could drop 220 and maybe get like a 15% payout increase. So if you only make 300,000, you might make 400,000 or 450,000 if you drop lighter, and it increases as well. So it's sort of like a gamble. So if you think you could win on only 200 tons drop decks, then maybe your payout is something like $500,000 or 600,000. So I would like to see something like that to encourage some different play styles. But at the same time, I don't know how effective it would be, because if you know you can win only taking 240 tons, you're going to take 240 tons. Anyone else got opinions or anything like that? Or I'm looking at the time here. It should almost be time to wrap up because practice is about to begin. So any last comments or anything like that before we wrap things up? Nope. All right, perfect. So, thank you everybody for tuning in to the Armored Combat Escalation Service podcast. I've been your host, Brandon, also known as Cattra Kell. With me today, as we close, there's Adam, Thunderheart, Dasheo, G0, Kamikaze, Kago, Rush, Sinister Socks, and Tierkron. Thank you guys for coming out. See you next week.